thank you so much, everyone. Like I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Really appreciate it. So this is the 4th year we've been doing this conference in there, but we're really grateful for all the friends we made and so on. So I thought I'd just start out with just share a couple, take 5 minutes, share some of the insight I have since last year. Again, so first thing is, so telehealth, I think by itself, the technology is actually a very bad business. So you might be very surprising. We're in this business for like a little more than 10 years now. I just want to share some insight on how we think about the market. One of the reasons is a lot of people still believe telehealth is just equal video conference. So there's a lot of inertia to change the mindset of that. And then a video visit by itself, it really does not add enough value to change behavior in a mass, outside of the mental health in this. So this is something that we see a lot of drag in terms of adoption. Again, telehealth is one of the things where everyone have done telehealth, but very few have actually achieved adoption. Another thing we observe is there are a lot of activities from Teladoc, various things like these, or virtual urgent care. But that business by itself is actually very difficult to make money. So for example, if you look at Amazon, they launched the Amazon Care, right? Very exciting. I think they will do something great. But in that core business myself, I actually think they will struggle in this. Like Walmart made the announcement, they put out these new centers in Georgia. I think that business by itself will struggle, because just basic economics is really difficult for that to make money by itself. But that often is a strategy that you can actually use that to penetrate additional new ways to make money. Now, how could you make money in this? So again, so over the past number of years, so I have personally worked with probably around over 300 digital health startups in various shape in there. So if I look at the patterns in there, all the different startups, so people who are making money are people that actually combine drugs and telemedicine in an interesting way, because the pharmaceutical side, that's where all the profit is. So you can pull that components into your business model, then you often have something really exciting from things like men's health, women's health. You see a lot of these high-flying company in there. Another way is the idea of just-in-time expertise. So if you have a business model that requires you to provide these sort of things like medical expertise to sprinkle them around, that's actually really exciting. So we see a bunch of activities, companies growing very rapidly using those models. Another thing we see from the physician end is the concierge model. More and more physicians, in order for them to differentiate themselves, able to easily using telemedicine to offer concierge-like service. We see that's a lot of activity. The final areas, we see a movement starting this year. A lot of the traditional non-healthcare titans, they actually now is going to get into healthcare in a very major way, using telemedicine as the engine for that. And we see there's a lot of activity. I think it will still take probably about 12 to 18 months until those big guys you see on the news to figure out how could they actually make money in this. I was mentioning some of these obvious models, they're actually were not able to make money. But I think once they figure out, it'll be really exciting. Now, one of the things, we also see a lot of activity, I think for 2019, it's almost like a turning point. So I was mentioning, a lot of people historically, the view is telemedicine, just video conference. So we get asked all the time, why can't I just use my normal video conferencing tools? So turn out that there's a bunch of features is missing, but turn out that the Zoom outage, it was almost a turning point for the industry. So after the Zoom outage, the security breach, by the way, how many of you knows this thing on Zoom? Right. Okay, yeah, it was all over the news. Basically, if you had Zoom installed once on your computer, then a month ago, then they could actually, a hacker could force you to join a fake meeting without your knowledge. Then, of course, your microphone camera will be turned on. It was so nasty that forced Apple to make an emergency worldwide patch in the operating system to shut that down. Can you imagine Apple had to activate in this? Again, so what we see is there's this intrinsic where you could create a tool that could be spread out to billions of people, like Zoom have done phenomenally well. But if you make that gap optimization, then often you have the compromise on security in this. So it was almost like for our company, just purely selfish. Like after the Zoom security, which I got a flood of interest come in because people find it's like you need to something alternative model. Then just a preview on some of the initiatives we're focusing on in this. So for us, one of the big things for us is still working on adoption. Just how do you get people to really do telemedicine beyond just doing video visit? So some of the key initiatives we have just work on basic usability issues, things like EMR integration. Another big area you find is a lot of people, partners we work with, they actually struggle with marketing and also just from the physician end, how do you get paid? So we're actually doing a lot of interesting activity, how to adding the tools to help our partners to be better marketing for themselves, for their services in there, as well as helping doctors get paid. And then we've been also doing a lot of more strategy consulting in there. So I've been, one of my big appointments this year is I was appointed by the Crown Prince of Dubai to advise the government of Dubai on how they think about the healthcare for the next 5 to 25 years. And they have 13 people in this body. So I'm honestly, I'm one of the 2 people not from Dubai that they appointed me. So now I get, thanks. So now I get exposed to just helping the government think through a lot of interesting things from AI to sensors to new tests like gut bacteria, all these things. We think there's a lot of really interesting activities there. Another thing that VSee have done is we see a market opening for people to have their own branded mobile app in there. So historically, to create your own branded mobile app is very expensive. So we now developed the concept of app factory. So we could actually crank out this mobile app for you fairly easily, then just plug into your native EMR and everyone's happy. And I was mentioning one of the big themes is we find, so telemedicine by itself is actually a very difficult business to monetize. What we see, part of the reason is you don't create enough value beyond just video chat. What we do find is if you're actually taking telemedicine, you're adding AI, you're adding these really interesting new sensors. We have some really interesting company, you can see the exhibit. So then you can actually reimagine healthcare in a really interesting way. How do you achieve it? Not just a little bit better, but how do you make it to be 10 times better? So we're really excited about some of those things. And then the final thing is, again, we create the VSee physician network, This American Doc. We're really excited to just continue growing that. We have thousands and thousands of physicians, also with specialties. And we're using that as a basis to create some really interesting new business models. We hope to share with you that can come out of the wraps at the end of this year. Again, I'm really excited for you to all be here. So just a couple of